Good morning, AP World History. Happy Friday. Fridays are still awesome despite the pandemic. So hopefully you guys are having an awesome Friday morning. I'm recording this at about 9:41 a.m. and I've got some good stuff planned for you guys today. Let me go ahead and put my presentation in present mode. While this is loading, let me just say if you missed yesterday's Zoom meeting, we went over the DBQ in a bit more depth, talked about the rubric, talked about some strategies to get the most out of the rubric and kind of maximize your points in the minimal amount of time that you have, which is only going to be 45 minutes plus the 5 minutes to submit. Now, if you missed that meeting yesterday, first of all, in the future, let's try to make the Zoom meetings because we're going to be doing them more often, and they're just going to become, I think, more helpful as we near the exam on May 21st. But if you missed it, I do have a link that I'll be getting to today where you can at least review the agenda that we went over, and I have the chat log. So, like the questions that students were asking, it might be helpful. I unfortunately did not get a recording of yesterday's meeting because something went wrong with my technology. Anyways, I've talked about grades quite a bit. I'll just say it one more time. You can still improve your grade in this class. Nathan asked yesterday, can you get above 100%? Yes, you can. You can get above 100%. I will gladly give out A pluses to those of you that earn them. There's definitely some of you that are in the boat that could earn an A plus. So go for it. Obviously, the distance learning that we're doing right now is all meant to help you on the AP exam, which I think all of you guys want to do well on. So not only does it improve your grade in the class, but it's going to improve your chances of doing well on the AP exam, which also can improve your grade in the class. So just make sure you're keeping up with the review. I'm trying not to assign too much. I'm trying not to pile it on you guys, but at the same time, this is an AP class, and to keep the rigor where it sort of needs to be for you guys to be successful. Housekeeping. Okay, so I talked about the Zoom meeting that we had last class. I do have a folder that I've mentioned a couple times now, and this includes all of the Zoom meetings that we do. And sometimes, usually, I'll have a recording of the meeting. Sometimes all I have is like the agenda that I used, which has a lot of what I'm going to talk about. Sometimes I'll have the chat log, which I do have from yesterday's meeting. I have the Kahoot game from our meeting on the 2nd of April. So I'll put that in the Zoom meetings folder. That'll be a good resource, especially if you miss one of our meetings. Some other resources I have is DBQ resources, specifically 2020 DBQ resources. And by 2020 DBQ, I mean with the new rubric in the new format. So in the DBQ resources folder, you would find things like, well, the new rubric. Okay, very, very important. You become super familiar with that new rubric. You want to know it really, really well because that way you'll be able to aim the rubric to the best of your ability on the exam. Get the point where you can. So here is the DBQ folder. Okay, I've got anything related to the new DBQ in this folder right here. So I do have a couple Heimler's history videos up. He's putting videos that do a really good job explaining the new DBQ format. Might be helpful for you to go and look at those. I've got all sorts of stuff up here. So in fact, I even have the Zoom meeting from yesterday in this folder as well, since it was all about the DBQ. We went for about an hour yesterday. A lot of great questions from your classmates, and hopefully those of you that attended yesterday's Zoom meeting found it helpful. Hopefully you are kind of feeling pretty good about that two-document theory, which we're going to continue to talk about and practice. If you don't know about the two-document theory, well, we're going to tell you about it. Essentially, I'll tell you right now that on this new DBQ, if you can analyze two documents well, so use two documents in your essay to support an argument, and then analyze them well using the HIP information. We're going to be practicing that a little bit today. If you can do that on this exam, well, then you can get a really good score on this exam. So that's kind of a little tidbit about the two document theory. Obviously, there are 5 documents that you would analyze and include in your essay in a perfect world. But if you read the rubric, 2 documents can get you a pretty good score. And then I also have those lectures, resources, review folders. Those are kind of throughout Schoology. because I have them for each time period and sometimes for each unit, depending on what time period we're in. You should definitely be done with your exam review from 1200 to 1450. You should have that COVID-19 essay complete. You should have done the self-assessment. All of that is just a way to get you familiarized with the new rubric and the new format. Moving right along here. Or maybe we're not moving right along. Maybe it's a little bit slower. Oh man. Screencastify and Google Slides, they don't seem to work well together. I always have slight issues as I'm going through here. And lo and behold, I am having another one. Okay, actually, this is what we wanted to get to. So I do have a slide. This is not what we want to get to. Hold on, I apologize for this, guys. Here we go. Okay. So the AP World History exam day information is up there. I would suggest becoming very familiar with what exam day is going to look like, especially if you're taking more than one AP exam. So there is the 2020 AP testing guide. It's a pretty big document. You definitely should go through it. I plan on holding at least one Zoom meeting, maybe even two Zoom meetings, where we are going through that together so you guys can ask questions. We talked a little bit about it last class. But I think that you going through it on your own is a really good idea. You're definitely going to want to do the exam day checklist for each of the AP exams that you plan on taking. So the exam day checklist essentially will be something you'll have next to you while you take the exam. It's going to have all of the necessary information that you're going to need to input along the way. And then there is this walkthrough video that could be helpful as well. So check this stuff out. That way on exam day, you don't feel flustered. You don't, I mean, we all know that you're going to be stressed out enough taking the exam. You don't want the getting into the exam and getting through all the technological things to stress you out even more. So that way, if you practice it ahead of time, it will actually help you on the exam, because if you can get in and out of the exam quickly, if you practice submitting your essay at the end of the exam, because that submittal process does take, I think, a little bit of practice. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple. But if you do that stuff, you actually could have more time to write on the exam, because you're going to need to use less time to kind of submit stuff. So it works to your advantage to go through the testing guide, the walkthrough video, and become real familiar with what the exam is going to be like. Here's just the exam information. This has been up here for a while, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. Okay, we have a Zoom meeting coming up on Tuesday, the 5th at 12 p.m. We'll be doing a 1450 to 1750 Kahoot review. So in preparation for this meeting, you should have completed all of the review for 1450 to 1750. It's included in today's agenda. If you haven't completed it yet, you're totally fine. But you should have looked at all those flashcards for chapters 5, 6, and 7, watched a fair amount of the videos. I'm not asking you to watch every lecture and every crash course video and every Heimler's history video, but kind of figuring out what you need and what you prefer. And then obviously taking those review reading quizzes for chapters 5, 6, and 7 until you get the perfect score. And then there's a couple other additional things, like I have some HIP document analysis practice today. It would also be part of the review. You'll want to have that done before you play this Kahoot game. And not only is this Kahoot game going to be good review for the time period we're on, but it's also going to be a way for us just to reconnect. It's fun. We get together. We can see if anybody can dethrone our champions from last game. I'm sure they'll be back to try to get a repeat. So let's get a good turnout for this Kahoot game. The link and everything is down there. If you can't make the Kahoot game, I will put a link up and you can play it on your own, but that is not as fun as playing it with your classmates. So be there on Tuesday at 12 p.m. HIP document analysis practice. So this is, let me just remind you guys about what HIP is. I've talked about it. We've talked about it many times this year, but it's going to become very, very important on the AP exam. So it is worth looking at briefly. HIP or HIPO, we're going to be talking about HIP for right now. HIPO is when you're writing the essay, because the O is for organizing the documents into your argument. If you're not writing an essay, you can't do the O. So for now, it's just HIP. And HIP stands for historical context. Okay, where and when was the source created? What was going on at the time? Is the document a reaction to something? That sort of stuff. Similar to the contextualization of an essay. But historical context is the H. The I is intended audience. I've sometimes seen that an A. People call it HAP. I prefer I because the audience isn't always the intended audience. Sometimes transcripts get leaked, letters get leaked to the public, and the intended audience may be different than the eventual audience. So I prefer intended audience to audience, but that's pretty straightforward. Who is the document directed at? P, your first P is going to be purpose. And this is a very, very important thing to understand when you're looking at a document. What is the purpose of the document? What was the author trying to accomplish with this document? Very, very important, trying to see it from their perspective. Did they have ulterior motives? Okay. Was the document, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen in a document. So make sure you're really trying to delve into the actual purpose. And then finally, the point of view. What's the main idea? What is the author's unique point of view? How does that influence the main idea? How does the author's background, how does the author's ethnicity, anything like that, race, religion, region, how does that impact the point of view of the document? And like I said, the O for organization doesn't apply if you're not writing an essay because that's how the document would be organized into your essay. You're going to use this technique right here, HIP, and you're going to be analyzing two documents that I posted in this Schoology discussion right here. So the documents are actually documents you would have seen before. These are two DBQs that we've actually done before. One of them is the one on silver, and one of them is the one on European exploration. So you guys have written these DBQs before. You should have seen these documents. They may ring a bell, but there's still definitely value in going back and analyzing those documents again using that HIP technique. So remember, on the DBQ that you're going to be writing for the AP exam, your ability to analyze a document is essentially what is being tested. It's not your ability to write. Yes, you are going to have to write an essay, but that essay is not really demonstrating your mastery of the English language or your mastery of writing. It's really demonstrating your mastery of being able to analyze a document and then use that document to make some sort of argument about the prompt. And obviously, the only way you can convey whether you can do that or not is through writing, at least at the moment. Maybe they'll allow videos or memes someday, but we're not there yet. So you're going to have to write the DBQ, but it's really important that you can analyze the documents and that you can do it at beyond a surface level. That's a big one. Okay. I mean, any seventh grade student can probably look at these documents and give me some analysis, but you sophomore AP World students, we're looking for a little bit of deeper analysis and kind of seeing things that maybe the average reader wouldn't see. So when you're analyzing these two documents and you're posting them in the Schoology discussion, do a good job because your classmates are going to see your analysis after they post their own analysis. After you post your own analysis for both of these documents, go back and read what your classmates posted. If you disagree, maybe you guys could have a little discussion about it. That could be maybe very, very educational for you to do. If you agree, maybe you could like their post and be like, you're a genius. Okay, so that is sort of an additional assignment to the other review stuff that you guys have already known about, which is right here. So chapter 5, 6, and 7, we've got the flashcards, we've got the videos, and then we've got those reading / review quizzes. So make sure you get that done before Tuesday. We're trying to do before today. Because on Tuesday, we're playing Kahoot. Okay, guys, I've said my spiel. I hope you guys are enjoying reviewing for this AP exam. You are getting the luxury of more review time than we've ever had in the past. And you have less review to cover than we've ever had in the past. And you get to do this from the comfort of your own home. Maybe that's not so comfortable for some of you. Maybe you've got screaming siblings and nagging parents, and you're like, Mr. Bergman, I'd rather be in the comfort of your classroom. But alas, we are in the midst of the pandemic, and so we're going to do the best we can. So you guys stay safe out there. Have a great day. Let's see if I can figure out how to turn this